Listen, let me challenge your thinking. What if I tell you that with a budget of 450,000 to 950,000, you can actually get a used car that makes sense in 2024? Well, today on our episode of CarScouts East Africa, I want to show you these cars that will make sense in 2024. Stay tuned. My name is Ryan Gift and welcome. Now, before we go to our main content of the day, I want to urge you guys to kindly like and subscribe to this channel. You might be wondering, what is CarScouts East Africa? Well, CarScouts East Africa is your partner when it comes to car buying and selling. Now, what we do is we source cars for you, and we also inform you on matters automotive, and we also link you up with the right people to do your pre-purchase inspection before you buy your car. Now, back to our main content of the day. Now, outside your most obvious choices, or when you have a budget of 450,000 to 950,000, there are actually good cars that you can get for this budget. Now, today we want to talk about 5 cars which will make sense in terms of their reliability, in terms of their practicalities, and the features that they do have. You might see some of your common options are not here, but we want to justify the cars that will be on this list, and today we'll cover 5 cars. And at number 5, the car that we do have is the Mercedes C200 W202. Now, the W202 was made between 1991 to the year 2001. And this was the first generation of the Mercedes C200. This car came with an engine of 1.8 liter to around 2 liter, which was supercharged. And it was also mated to an automatic gearbox, which was 4-speed, and a manual gearbox, which was 5-speed. Now, why is this car on our list today? The reason why this car is on our list today is because, number one, the design of this car. The Mercedes W202 came with a boxy design, and I can say for a fact that manufacturers are going back to the boxy design right now, and Mercedes W202 will still make sense in 2024 in terms of design. And because it's a Mercedes, if you step somewhere with it, people will still like it and will also be respected because it looks more mature. The other reason why this car makes sense in 2024 is because of the reliability. Mercedes purists know very well that the M111 engine that was in the W202 and other Mercedes during that time was a very reliable engine, and it came in various variants. As I've said, 1.8 liter, and there was also a 2 liter supercharged version, and all these engines were very, very reliable, and the gearbox also were very good, the automatics and also the manual. There were gearbox which wouldn't give you any problem, and up to now you can still run on them very, very well. The number 3 reason why the Mercedes W202 is in this list is because of the efficiency. Now, again, the M111 engine was very, very efficient. It was not the fastest, but it was the most efficient engine in the Mercedes lineup during that time. Now, this car was also quite practical, and I bet even in 2024, this car still feels comfortable, and also it's quite roomy for people who have families and can use this car for that use. Now, the car came with a 2-wheel drive, and I don't know if there were maybe 4-wheel drives, but the most that right now in the Kenyan market were actually 2-wheel drive cars. If you want a Mercedes W202, how much will you get it for? Right now, they are going for around 450,000 to 550,000, almost to 600,000, depending on the condition that it is in. So it's a car that if you see anywhere, please buy it, because it's a good car. It's a car that will still make sense in 2024. On to car number 4. Now, the car number 4 on our list is a rather very interesting car. And which car am I talking about? This is the Mark II. Now, the Mark II was made between 2000 to 2004, and it's actually the predecessor to the well-known Mark X. The Mark II is always denoted by either X110 or X115, and I'll explain the meaning of those two. The Mark II came with a very interesting engine, and this engine was the 1GFE engine. And this engine was actually a 2-liter engine, and it was an inline 6. Yes, unlike the Mark X, which was the V6, this one was an inline 6. The reason why the Mark II is actually on this list is, number one, again, the design. Now, this car still makes more sense in 2024 in terms of the design. The car was well designed. It's quite simple. It's not very showy, but it's also good looking and quite mature. If you show up with somewhere, people will still respect you for that. And the number two reason why this car is also on this list is because of the reliability. Now, the 1G FE was a very good engine. It was a quite stable engine, which didn't have many problems, and many mechanics also did understood this engine. Now, it was an inline six, and I know you might be wondering, what about the efficiency of this engine? Now, unlike the Mark X, which had a V6, which consumes a lot of fuel, the Mark II actually had an inline six engine, which was tuned by Toyota to give some decent power and also give you efficiency at the same time. So it's a car which you can still run with. You can use it in the city and get very good numbers on the gauge, and you can also go very far places and also get good numbers on the gauge. And the other reason why this car is on this list is because of its practicality. The interior of the Mark II is quite spacious, and if you even check the wheelbase of this car is a little bit longer, just like the Mark X, and it provides very good room in the interior. Both the trunk space and also the interior gives enough room. And the car is also very, very comfortable. I can dare say that this car is more comfortable than most cars that we are currently buying. Yes, that's very true. And you might be asking yourself again, what about the X110 and the X115 that I mentioned before? Now, the X110 denotes the Mark II, which is a two-wheel drive, and the X115 denotes the Mark II, which is a four-wheel drive. So if you're going to buy this car, you'll also be aware of those. If you see a X115, know that that one is a four-wheel drive. You might also be asking yourself, how much is this car? The Mark II goes for between 450,000 to 650,000, depending on the condition that it is in. So this is a car that if you see, buy it because you like it and it will make more sense in 2024. On to the car number 3 on our list. At number 3, we also have a Toyota, and this Toyota is the Corolla E140. I know if you hear the E140, it sounds a little bit familiar. Yes, I'll tell you why. Now, the Corolla E140 was made between 2006 to around 2011 by Toyota. And as you know, the E140 denotes a very similar car which is known as the Axio. Well, yes, the Corolla E140 denotes the Axio, and the E140 that we are talking about today is actually the wide body of the Axio. Most people have seen this car because it was mostly used by corporations and maybe parastatals here in Kenya. And Toyota Kenya was also making some of this vehicle, assembling them here locally. So there are cars which are still here, and if you also go to the marketplace, you'll still find them. Now, these cars are mostly known as the ZRE. For people who know this car, they'll always call it the ZRE. That is because it came with the 3ZR engine, which is an 1800cc engine, and it was mated to, a CVT just like the Axio. And there were others which also had a manual gearbox, a 5-speed manual, especially those that were used by parastatals here in Kenya because they were manufactured here locally. Now, the reason why this car is here is number one, the design. Unlike the Axio, the E140, the wide body is a little bit, it looks bigger, and it's also a little bit stronger compared to the Axio. It doesn't look fragile as the Axio, and I feel like this car still makes more sense, and it's a little bit more mature. It's a car that if you go with somewhere, you look at least better. That is why corporations did not go for the Axio. Instead, they went for this wide body, which we are talking about today. The reason why this car is also on our list today is because of the reliability. Now, as I've said before, this was a 3ZR engine on the E140 wide body. And as we know, the 3ZR engine is an engine which is very reliable. It has built a very good reputation here in Kenya, and it's dependable. Even the Toyota CVT is quite dependable, and the automatics are also very, very dependable. The other reason why this car is here is because of the efficiency. Again, the 3ZR engine is efficient. It's an 1800cc engine, but you will still achieve very good figures like 14 kilometers to the liter with it without, breaking a sweat. The other reason why this car is here and why you should consider actually buying it is because of the practicality. As I've said, the E140 is a wide body, and it's also a little bit longer than the Axio. That means that you get, a very decent space in the interior, and also the trunk also give you quite decent space, and that makes more sense in 2024. And again, this car also has some features which you don't get in cars of that age. Especially you get the steering controls and also other safety features which are very beneficial to you. Now, how much will the E140 cost you if you decide to buy it? Well, the E140 will set you back around 800,000 to 950,000 Kenyan shillings, also depending on the condition. There are a few of them on the market, but if you see one, please buy it because you won't regret it. The parts are very available despite this car also being a little bit scarce in the market, but it's a car that you'll roll with anywhere, and it will still make sense in 2024. On to our car number 2 on our list. Now, car number 2 on our list is from a manufacturer who used to do incredible things until they decided to go another route. And this manufacturer is Subaru. And the car that we are talking about is the Subaru Impreza, the GH series and the GE series. You might be wondering why this car is on this list and instead of the Auris. Well, Auris is your typical choice. And now this is another choice that I'm enlightening you about. Now, the GE and the GH series were made between 2006 to around 2011, and they came with various engine variants. And the first one was the 1.5 liter, and there was also the 2 liter, which was the EJ20, and a very solid engine. Now, it came with also a 4-speed automatic and a 5-speed manual. The reason why this car is on our list today is number one, the design. I believe that this was the last true looking Impreza. You might correct me if maybe you disagree with that, but I believe that this was the last truly designed and well designed Impreza. The other reason why this car is on this list is the reliability. The EJ20 was a good engine, very stable, and also the combination of the gearbox was also very good. Unlike today, when now Subaru decided to go the CVT way, but during that time there was still the automatics, which were very, very reliable. The other reason why this car is also on this list is the efficiency of the engine. Now, the 1.5 liter engine was also very efficient, and the 2 liter engine was also very, very efficient. And again, the reason why this car is here, I know it's a small car, but this car was also quite practical. If you check the interior, you could sit people comfortably in that car. Even the trunk was still, be a bit bigger compared to the previous generation that existed during that time. And the reason why this car is also here on this list is because of its price. Now, you can find the GE and the GH series for a price of between 600,000 to a high of 880,000, depending on the condition that it is in. That is a good price for a car that will still make sense here in 2024. Now, on to the final car on our list, and the car number 1 is also a Subaru. And which Subaru are we talking about? This is the Subaru Forester SG5. The SG5 was made between 2000 to 2008. Now, the reason why this car is actually on our list today is because of its design. Now, this one I can say confidently, the SG5 was the last best designed Subaru Forester. If you compare the SG5 and maybe the SH, the SH, the SJ series, I believe that the SG5 was the last true good-looking Subaru Forester. The other reason why this car is on this list is because of the reliability. Now, again, we talked about the EJ20 on car number 2, and we see that this engine is also very reliable and also very, very efficient, and it will still make more sense in 2024. Now, the other reason why this car is also very good and why you should buy it is actually the practicality. The SG5 was actually quite roomy, despite it being a little bit smaller when you compared it to the SJ and the SK that we have now and the SH. But still, it had some very decent room for the trunk and also for the interior for your passengers and you for the driver who is driving the car. So you could get very decent space, and also it had very good features actually. There were some which were actually special editions like the LL Bean, and they came with very nice features like the leather interior, pure leather actually, and those were also very good and very lasting. So these are cars that still make more sense in 2024 in terms of the design, in terms of the reliability, in terms of the practicality. And for a budget of 650 to 950 thousand Kenyan shillings, you can get the SG5. If you love speed, you can go for the SG9, but that has its problem that maybe if you're willing to deal with them, you can deal with them. But if you're a simple man who loves, simple man or maybe a simple woman who just, wants to get along and wants to be at par with most cars which are being sold right now, you can go for the SG5. Now, those were the 5 cars on our list today. And if you feel like there's a car that we missed on our list today, you can perhaps go down there on the comment section and tell us which car that also belongs to this list. The list can go up to 10. You can still put more vehicles there which make more sense in terms of the features that they have and in terms of the various, things that we've talked about in this video. And last but not least, this is still a young channel, so you guys can support because there's still more content to come and there's still some greater things that we want to achieve. Over and out, I've been your host, Ryan Gift, and see you on the next episode of CarScouts East Africa. Bye.